Hello, hi, my name is Kathy McNair. I'm an estate planning and elder law attorney in Boston, Massachusetts, and today I want to talk to you about estate planning for young families. So, this is a topic that I feel is very near and dear to my own heart. I have three kids of my own, and so many of my friends are parents, and lots of times they'll say to me, "Oh, estate planning. Oh, Will. Oh, we don't have one. Oh, we never did it." That's okay if you never did it, but now is the time to do it. If you have children, it's one of the most important things you could do to protect your family and to make sure that your children will be protected and that there's a plan in place for them, whatever happens to you or whatever happens in life. So, today I'd like to break it down to four important documents that all parents of children under 18 should have in place. And I don't want you to wait until you're about to drop the kids off at grandma's and go on that first trip to somewhere exciting and then call me up the day before and say, "Oh no, we never did our estate plan. Can we do it today?" Probably not. It's better to do it in advance. So let's try to think about this now. And today I'm going to talk about these four documents. So that would be a will, a family trust, a power of attorney, and a healthcare proxy. So with a will, the most important decision that any parent will need to think about is who should you name as the guardian for your children in case you die before they reach 18. And this is a really, really tough one. So many parents struggle with it, and maybe it's one of the reasons why people put it off. But it is so important that you think about it and that you make this decision yourself rather than having a judge make it for you and maybe make the wrong decision. So I would start by making a list of your family and friends and seeing who you think would really be the best person to take care of your kids in the event that you couldn't do it yourself. So, there's a couple of things that you might want to consider. First one is no one is going to be perfect. So, if you're looking for that perfect person, you're not going to find it because the perfect person is you and your husband, and that's who you want to raise your kids. And I really hope that you get to do that, and I get to do that too. But you need to find someone who's good enough. Okay, somebody who's good enough for between now and the next few years. It doesn't mean they have to be good enough forever. Just in the short term here. So you might think about your own parents, and some people will say, "Oh, well, would they be too old?" Well, if they're not too old right now, then I don't think they are too old because you're just looking to put somebody down for now. So your parents may not have the same energy level that you have right now, but as long as they're able to take care of the kids and maybe hire a babysitter and nanny to help them, I don't think that's a bad person to nominate. I think that I'm sure they love and care about your kids very much. So you also want to think about things like geography. Where do they live, and who are they married to, and what's going on in their life? Are they in a big transition, or what's happening? Do they have kids of their own? Do you like their spouse? All these things come into play, and I would urge you just to think about them. And it's really hard to make this decision. So if you come up with several names, I think the best thing to do is put them all down, but just name first, I would like my parents. Second, I would like my sister. Third, I would like my best friend. Just to have alternates available, because who knows what will be going on in their lives if that situation ever arose, and whether they're really up for that job, that huge responsibility and job. The other thing the will does is it allows you to designate who gets your property at the end of your life. And for most families with young children, it's usually you want to leave it to each other. You leave it to your spouse, and then if God forbid something happens and your spouse isn't there, you want it to go to your kids. So that's usually pretty straightforward. But the will and the wills that we do, we have the wills leave the assets to something called a family trust, which I'm going to talk about in just 1 minute. But before I talk about that, the other thing that you need to think about with the will is who's going to manage it, who's going to be the manager of your estate. So this person will likely probably be, you would name your spouse, and then if it's not your spouse, you name somebody who's very responsible and good at getting things done. It's really a job that you're giving them. So you want to make sure it's somebody who's good at making things happen. And if you don't have a family member or close friend that would be good at that, lots of times people do pick attorneys or other professionals to do that. So the next document I'm going to talk about is the family trust. And the reason why the family trust is so important is because we never want to have our kids get money, inherit money, before they're really ready to handle it. And if you leave money to your children just in your will outright, when they're 18, all of a sudden they're allowed to do whatever they want with that money. And who knows what they would do with it. But odds are it's not what you would want them to do with it. And it would be a little bit safer, definitely safer, to have somebody else manage that money until they're old enough to manage it on their own. So this person is called a trustee. And you choose someone to act as trustee who you think would be the right person to decide how the money gets spent until they're old enough to handle that on their own. So the trustee is able to spend the money for whatever your children need, whether that be school or living expenses or travel, whatever it is that they need, until the age that you decide is appropriate. So lots of times I find clients feel like 25 is an age where they would like their children to get some portion of the funds in the trust, whether it be 25% or 50%, and then usually by 30, most parents think that their kids will be responsible enough to decide how to manage the rest of the trust funds. But that's a decision, that's something for you to think about, and I'm happy to help you figure that out as well. So those two documents are so important, and they both pertain to someone, to what should happen to your estate if you die. But what happens if there's a tragedy and you're still alive, but you're just not able to take care of things for yourself anymore? So the next two documents I'm going to talk about deal with that situation, and those two documents are a power of attorney and a healthcare proxy. And the power of attorney allows you to designate somebody to manage your financial affairs, to pay your bills, to take care of your taxes, to make sure your kids have money for what they need. If God forbid something tragic should happen to you and you just are not able to do it for yourself, but you're still alive. So the most important thing when thinking about someone to serve as the power of attorney is you want to pick someone you really trust, somebody who's good with money, and somebody who can manage this and is ready to do it. And the last document is the healthcare proxy, which is similar to the power of attorney in that it would come into play if you were still alive, but you were just unable to communicate. And this pertains to medical decision making. So if there were a tragedy and you were not able to speak to the doctor about what medical treatment you wanted, your healthcare proxy would talk to them about that and make decisions on your medical care and what should happen. So it's important that you pick someone you know, someone who cares about you, someone you trust, and somebody, I would think it's probably helpful to have somebody that lives in the area, but if not, I'm sure they could communicate by phone or other ways if needed. So those are the 4 documents. I really urge you to make this a priority in your life. I know as a parent how busy you are, how little time you have, and how many expenses you have. but this is one that you really need to make important, make happen, and not just kind of, oh well, we don't never got around to that, oh we don't know, oh we can't decide on the guardian. Like, you just need to pick somebody and get it done, and then it's done, and you can change it anytime you need to. It's better to get it done and change it later than rather to not have anything in place at all. I'd be happy to talk to you anytime. We try to make the process as simple as possible. For our busy parents, we're happy to Skype or have telephone conferences. There's definitely one meeting in our office that's needed to execute the documents. I also know there's a lot of online software and programs out there. I would just offer one word of caution that executing a will is something that has to be done in a very specific way, and if you don't do it right, it's not going to work. So I still think there's a lot of value in meeting with an actual attorney and making sure that it's done right. So, thank you so much. We have a website, seniorsolutionsinfo.com, and we do have a page on the website designated to estate planning for young families. Please feel free to check it out. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.